Inside of Shapelab are two spheres. I'm hoping to tackle the task of morphing them into one of the most iconic characters in pop culture history. What a mistake that was. You didn't know, but after 6 years I've returned to South Korea to make peace with my past life, which I am currently writing about. I love walking the streets and crushing the food. By the way, don't bring beef jerky. They'll fine you. I found that out the hard way. And while I sit in my ivory tower of my hotel, looking down upon the kingdom of Gwangju, treated to daily free air shows, I watched the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 take the internet by storm and die down just as quickly as the Wii U did. Hate to say it, but I tried to tell you. In my eyes, the Nintendo Switch 2 is a rebrand of the Switch 1 Pro in order to get the customer base to justify the purchase and get enough units shipped. And I thought I could utilize my MBA degree and maximize my exposure to attract even more angry comments by sculpting their favorite character, a system seller, Mr. Mario himself, with my bare hands in VR. You see, contrary to popular belief, simpler characters are harder to sculpt, and the reason is simple. Clean-looking characters are scrutinized the most. The audience knows what to expect, and the slightest deviation from those simple shapes can break the illusion of that character in their minds. In VR currently, sculpting super simple characters can be challenging due to the fisheye lens effect of the in-game cameras distorting the actual model. Keeping all this in mind, I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. Mario has a very heavy head. It's almost like a really fat almond shape. Notice the lack of neck. That's okay. I'm going to attempt the most recognizable part of this video, the head. So during the sculpt, you'll want to turn on one of the axis mirrors so that your work can be perfectly replicated on the other side, giving you the best chances of creating a balanced sculpt. The nose is a new oval object that is slightly smushed using the sliders. The mouth is another oval shaped by the pull tool with mirroring on one of the axes turned on. Put it in place and Boolean subtract it in the scene mode. The smooth tool can round off those sharp edges. Pull the mouth into a little happier smile. The tongue is a new oval object made slightly flat with the sliders and painted red. A new cylinder object painted white for the teeth. Chop it into shape by Boolean subtracting another cylinder. Do it again and reduce those choppers to human scale. Here was the most fun part of making this Mario and what I loved about sculpting in VR, the mustache. The shape of Mario's mustache is very funny when you look closely. A set of circles under the nose create an unrealistic cartoonish effect. This small detail helps us recognize Mario at a glance. It's small fine details like this that can make or break your sculpts or paintings, so try and look for those when studying your references. We can pull the ends of another oval object to create the stash, and then add a balance of 4 circles. Adding hair-like texture is easier than you think. Using the crease tool with steady stroke on, we can create these details. If you aren't getting enough fine detail, turn on wireframe and see the polygon mesh. Use the regularize tool to create more polygons to work with. Smooth those crease lines when you're done. Time to make some eye sockets with the pull tool. Make an eyeball with the new oval object and flatten it to a slight curve. Cartoonish characters tend to have flatter eyes than you think. Adjust the eye area with the pull tool until it looks just about right. Mario has no eyelids, but we can create the illusion of it with the flatter bottom of the eye socket. Again, small details make or break your character model. Clone the first disc so we can paint the iris blue. Clone that blue disc and shrink it with the right joystick and paint it black. Select the blue iris disc and paint the edges a darker blue. In the same paint tool, select the stamp tool, choose an alpha mask pattern for the iris detail, and select the black color again. Now have some fun. Select the black pupil oval and use the paintbrush with white paint to create that light reflection detail. Now dab some blue paint on the bottom of the iris. Look how great that looks. It's small details, the small details. In the scene mode, use the clone tool to make the other eyeball. Tap on the right joystick and flip the eye on its axis so that it is a mirror of the other eye. If you don't do this, the eyes will look unbalanced. I didn't realize how big Mario's ears were until now. They kind of stick out too. We can add flat spheres to the head shape with the axis mirror on, repaint it, and sculpt very basic cartoon-like details. Just look at the reference image. Make some eyebrows with a new oval shape and the pull and smooth tools. Clone it and flip it on its axis to get that perfect mirrored shape. Make Mario sideburns with a few pill shapes and Boolean union them together. Pull it around so it fits his face. The crease tool with steady stroke on can help us create some effective, simple layering on the hair. By the way, Nintendo doesn't want you to know this, but Mario is actually completely bald on top. They've been hiding this from you the whole time because of the potential mental damage it could cause to the entire fan base. Now for the most challenging part of the entire model, the hat. I hated making this hat. The hat alone took me 3 days to figure out because it is such an odd shape, like a smooth mountain on top, and the bill was extremely hard to make uniform in VR. I ended up using 2 spheres and subtracting one of them to create the bill of the hat. But then I found myself constantly smoothing and pulling to get it just right. And when I thought it was good, I took photos and was surprised to see the angle that appeared correct in my headset was completely off. So I stopped crying and decided I wasn't going to let this be the end of my VR sculpting career. I got out and touched some grass and took a big 12-kilometer walk of the city. You can see that video in my shorts. I got back in after eating some Korean fried chicken and made a better hat, because I was feeling better. I used a disc painted white to Boolean subtract from the hat, but I used the pool tool to make it fit the hat's curves better. I then made an M letter out of some rectangles and curved it to fit the surface of the hat, which I suggest the Shapelab team incorporate in a future update. The ability to create text with different fonts in VR on the desktop version would be an absolute game changer. Overall though, the app has come a long way and is worth every penny. In the end, I was pretty satisfied for taking the time to attempt this deceptively simple Mario sculpt in VR on the Metaquest headset. It was my first try, but it did take longer than I wanted. I then made a little short out of the sculpt as if Mario got stuck in one of those green pipes.
Let's go! Mamma mia! It's me, Mario! Oh no! No!
Huh?
I'm currently in Korea, so I won't be able to release this as a 3D printable quite yet. I always like to test print my stuff before I add anything to Cult's 3D. I will likely need to add a base for stability and paint the thing. I'll probably do it in resin. Like many of the things I do with sculpting and printing, it's just a creative experiment. If you look at my previous videos, you'll see that I actually enjoy designing like home products a lot more. But I have pumpkin season coming up and I'm going to get a bunch of gigs and I need to refine my sculpting skills, so this was a good exercise. So for me, sculpting in VR has real world applications. Let me know if this tutorial was interesting, and if you haven't gotten a headset or Shapelab, I have links to all these things in the description of the video. Let me know if you liked the video and I'll see you in the next one.